All right, welcome back to another episode of My Mom Has Tourette's podcast, where last year one of our mothers learned how to play. I need to turn your cameras off while I do this.
It's so funny because if one of us laughs, the other laugh, and then you can't help but laugh.
I tried so hard not to. I thought I found something funny, and I looked at Nathan, and he just couldn't help it.
Because he said podcast.
Podcast.
It was Whaylecome, and now it's podcast.
Welcome to another episode of My Mom Has Tourette's podcast, where this week we learned that one of our mothers last year learned how to play Texas Hold'em. I'm Josh.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm a cat.
And I'm Josh. And this week we finished the game, boys.
Yep. I don't know how it happened, but apparently... Okay, listen. Josh texted me last night.
No, so listen. Texted the group chat. But here's the thing. My wife went out of town for the weekend, so I was like, I'm going to go hard at the game, see if I can beat it. And then I was like, should I let them know, or should I just be like, Saturday night, hey, I beat the game.
This is what
happened. So I figured I'd go with the latter.
And then we joined this call today. This is Sunday. We record on Sundays. And then and then I'm so wet.
I think you just got waterboarded. I was looking down and all I hear is and I looked
so
up and you're just
wet. What the heck happened? Alright, basically, we're off the rails right now.
This is how our shirts come off.
That's fair, we'll just start doing the shirtless podcast. I know we're gonna end up doing a shirtless episode one day because of Josh. Regardless, we end up getting on this call today, and we asked Andrew, how far he got. We were like, there's no way this dude finished the game too, and Josh is ridiculous, and has had the extra time, and also just kind of looks up stuff, and Andrew refuses to. And then Andrew says he's finished it too. Were you lying? Or have you actually finished it?
I had to go super hard because Josh was like... Well, first of all, when he texted me, he was like, I have something I need to tell you, but I don't want you to get upset, or something along those lines. And I'm like, what happened?
Oh, no.
So I took a second and I was like, wait, is this about the game? And he was like, yeah. I was like, dude, why are you making it sound like it's life or death right now? And then he told me, I was like, well, yes, it's time to get crack-a-lackin'.
I didn't
for the win.
Didn't really tell him like that. I just well, since we both beat the game, as soon as we finished Portal 7.
Hold up.
Wait a minute. Something ain't right. We'll
talk about this. We'll talk about this later after we get into Talos Principle.
So I know this isn't going to be released until next week, and it's going to be too late. But Steven, you're welcome to join us next weekend, because next weekend's episode will be our review ranking system of the game. So, and we already said he could be part of it, so let him know this weekend.
For sure.
Or this week. Does he live East Coast?
He lives in Virginia, so yeah.
Okay.
Wow, putting him on blast already.
Everyone
go find where Steven lives in Virginia.
If you can find a very specific Steven in Virginia, you deserve to murder him.
You ever watch those TikToks where they're like, you can't find me, and then the guy's like, challenge accepted. I looked around.
Hire that guy and find Steven.
Yeah, there are some people who are absurdly good at GeoGuessr and stuff. They can basically take a picture of anywhere in the world and just figure out where they are. I don't use TikTok, so I've not seen that guy specifically, but there's some people that...
No. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But there was a cop that was, taking a video on TikTok, and he's like, I'm retiring, see if you can find me, and he, did a 360 around him, and then the guy's like, boom, this is the warehouse you're at. I'm like, that's uncalled for.
Impressive. I mean, uncalled for.
You Do you remember the Batman movie when the Joker puts the pencil on the desk and it's slam?
Ta-da!
My fidget spinner moved from the air conditioner remote to a pencil.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, so how was your week?
Attempt number 2. How was your week, Nathan?
Oh, my
Andrew,
week
if you put sounds on the soundboard, your beginning of your laugh or the little wheezing,
Yeah,
make
yeah,
that
I'll if I can record a sound somehow, I'll figure that out.
That was our very first episode, and it's episode 0. Yeah, my week was fine. Got the job at UPS. I started on the 2nd, so that's pretty cool.
Nice,
And,
congratulations.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was weird because I went through the application, which took like an hour. It took a really long time, and it was super in-depth and complicated. But at no point did I submit a resume. Don't know why. And they did not have an interview. This isn't some backwoods weird like company no one's heard of. This is UPS. And I got a job.
Yeah, but you're a dock worker. Right? That's what you're doing as dock worker?
Yeah, part-time for that. Like, we'll be dealing
you're
with
not going to be
packages.
too strenuous with that.
I mean,
Yeah, but usually you always have to submit a resume. Like, I could go apply at McDonald's and they'll probably ask for a resume.
it was weird. It was
Like
weird.
the
I was
lion.
not expecting it. So you're saying that's like a normal thing, Josh, for that kind of work? I'm sure they get people in and out all the time.
Yeah, and plus you're part-time dock worker. So, I mean, it's seasonal some things, seasonal not. So, I don't know.
Yeah, UPS
Plus,
does a
you
thing
went
where,
under-
like...
You went under reference of your father-in-law, right?
That does help. I know. I'm sure that helps. But because one of the questions it was like, "Yo, do you have anybody who works here that's like in your family and stuff?" So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But regardless,
Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be nice. I think it's a sign-on bonus.
boy, oh boy, I just love nepotism. But apart from that, things are fine this week. It's pretty chill. Been working more, like I said, on my game. There was something else. See, if I don't write this stuff down every week, I say, boy,
For
I don't know
weeks,
what
you've been
happened in
saying,
my
if
week.
I don't write this down.
Maybe I should write stuff down, and then I don't write it down, and then I don't remember what to say. So it's always a really good time. Yeah.
It's going to be
Josh...
real fun reviewing this game that we beat that I'm not going to remember most of.
Well, go get another concussion. And, Josh...
Can I say something real quick?
Well...
No. We're talking about Nathan's week.
Well, it has to go with.
I don't know if I have
issues.
much more to nepotism or concussion.
Definitely concussion.
I know what that is. But nepotism is the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives. And when I read it real quick, I thought it said flavoring relatives.
What?
I got that father-in-law with the MSG.
All right.
Uncle Roger, shout out. Please sponsor us one day. It'd be great.
I'll take
you
it
on the podcast.
I'll take it.
Nathan, you should come visit me in York. There's a
I would love
Trader Joe's in Mechanicsburg.
I would love to visit you.
Every time I see the Trader Joe's, I think of you.
Oh.
Everybody who has GeoGuessr, find where Josh is in York.
We'll share a picture
Good luck.
here. That's not
If
happening.
someone can find you with that
I'm not gonna
face, I'd
dox
love it.
Josh over here on the podcast. Maybe one day.
We're
Maybe
gonna-
that'll be like a haha hit
Right,
10,000 subscribers that we're gonna dox our friend.
If we do send that challenge, we might get a lot more viewers.
That's fair.
You know, if it's no press is bad press, my boy.
It's just a picture of Josh naked in a field, and we're like, where is he? He's right there. And then this guy comes and he's part of the podcast.
Well, how tall's the field? Because it'd be itchy.
Oh, it's
I
like...
kind of imagined it was like a wheat field for some reason.
Yeah, me too. So, my week was pretty good. Saturday was my daughter's birthday.
Did you guys see that?
No.
I was trying to figure out who asked, Josh.
Oh, I asked myself. Hey, Josh, how was your
You
week?
got me.
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Oh, man.
But I remembered this thing, and I texted Nathan about it. And Nathan, Chris... Oh.
Is that it?
Dying.
You
Choking
good?
on saliva here.
Oh my
Choking
gosh,
on
my
Chris,
shirt
man.
is so wet. What the heck?
That's what happens when you just pour water on your chest.
I don't know what you're talking
Something
about.
really outlandish seems to happen in each of the last few episodes, and I'm with it. I'm with the chaos.
I agree.
But we used to have this Walmart list. There was like 100 things that you shouldn't do in Walmart, but we did. It was like a checklist you'd go through, like asking people to help you find diarrhea medicine, wearing not a Walmart employee vest, helping people, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought about how we used to go through Walmart and try to check things off the list when we were bored and had nothing else to do.
I remember we did that for like scavenger hunts for youth group a lot too.
Yeah. Remember when Aunt Janie had us go to the police station and we were like...
Almost got arrested? Yeah, yep. I remember. It was a horrible day.
Yep. Yep. Every group went there. And the first group, they were like, okay. And then by the second and third group, they were like, listen, if you come here, we're arresting you.
Oh, it was pretty interesting. But this was
I was a part of so many of those lock-ins, and I don't remember this.
That
sounds like a problem.
Yeah. Well, we always did the scavenger hunt on the lock-in. Was this a separate thing?
That's true.
No, it was the lock-in.
Are we not
going to... Did the 34-hour famines
did they threaten
scavenger hunts?
Did they threaten to arrest because they showed up to the police station?
Yeah.
Essentially, well, nowadays the roles would probably
we were
be
taking donuts, weren't we?
So that was So the thing was you were supposed to bring a cop a donut. However, one of the other things that we had to do was on the list that our team decided to do beforehand. We went to Aunt Janice's house, and it was have one of your male teammates wear a dress. So I put on one of Janice's dresses, and then an overweight football player physique 16-year-old walked into a police station and offered them a donut after they'd been offered 3 times, and they put me against a wall. And then pretty sure we had to call Wayne to prove to them that it was a thing, just a joke. And then they were like, yeah, don't do that again. It's like, oh, okay, no problem. Have a good night, Chief.
You poor man.
It was interesting.
Nathan, ask Andrew how his week was.
Were you done with yours?
Well, yeah.
Oh, you usually have more, so I'm surprised.
How's your week, Andrew?
I know, I'm surprised.
Hey, Andrew, how was your week?
Well, I don't know. I'm always on the left on my screen, so I don't know how this goes.
Well, my screen,
you're on the left on my screen, too.
Andrew's up here, and this is Nathan.
Like I'm pointing to Andrew.
No, on my screen, you're just pointing this way to nothing.
Well, that's how the podcast is, because I record it from my side.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why it does it, but it's just because this is Andrew thinks he's over here, but he's really over here. Josh is down there.
Over here. Nathan, well, I mean, that's easy. I'm always here. Andrew, Nathan.
I don't think there's anything we can do about it. I don't think it really matters that much. Yeah.
Well, on the YouTube videos, it's the same orientation.
Yeah, this way.
That's weird.
My orientation, because I record it. And if your orientation was different, Josh, it would make the editing harder.
My week was all right though. I'm not sure I did get to go to the Italian festival yesterday. That was a good time.
So you went to Renaissance Fair and then the Italian festival.
I completely forgot the Italian festival was this weekend. I had dropped off a friend to his house, and on the way back, I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot this was here." So I stopped. I flirted with some lady and ended up getting 50% off of a purchase. It was pretty great. Tell what story? That story?
Well, that was it.
Oh. I was like, oh, was there some bigger moment that I wasn't sure of? Yeah, no, me, because I was alone. That was weird. Which was also kind of odd, walking around by yourself and people are like all not alone, and I'm just like, yeah, this is my life. Thanks, reality. Appreciate it.
Sad.
Yeah, there was a lot of good food. They had this big old map to find out where you were from. To find where you were from in Italy, like on the map. And then I was like, I know my family's Italian, but I don't really know what area they're from. So I called my mom. And that's when I found out that I'm Sicilian. For 32 years, I thought I was Italian.
Oh my gosh.
I am Sicilian.
This guy straight up shows up to the Italian
He
festival.
was
and
at the
finds out.
wrong festival.
It's like Charlie Kelly going to Scotland, find out he's not Scottish. No, it was the other way around, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the other way around. It was smack. Anyway.
So yeah, so I went there. I bought a candle. It smells like cranberry vanilla. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Had some good Italian food. Although, shout out to my grandmother for still having the best spaghetti sauce I've ever tasted in my life. I figured maybe some of these immigrant women who were, in their 80s cooking this pasta from scratch, they still can't touch grandma's. Grandma's still best.
They're heroes.
So if you ever see this grandma, yeah, I want more spaghetti sauce. I'll even come up and get it. I'm sure I'd like the rest of you.
My mom has Tourette's. My grandmother has divinity.
My grandmother has spaghetti.
Spaghetti!
What's that, Josh?
I don't know.
Somebody touch my divinity.
Nathan, tell these fine folks what platforms we're on.
We've done this already, but I can do it again. That's a lot of work every time, and I don't know if I'm up for it. All right, we can be found on most podcasting platforms. If you can't find us there, we probably will find us there later. Also, we're on TikTok.
There we go. And
that was the fastest I've ever done anything.
I keep getting these little Steam notifications at the bottom for what my friends are playing. Mm-hmm. And it seems that Michael, whose Steam name is Daddy's Little Servant, is playing Crab Champion. Nathan, would you like to tell us about what Crab Champion is?
Crab Champion? I don't know what Crab Champion is. You're not talking about Crab Fight, are you? Because those are that's a different name.
Yeah, it's different. Michael explained to me Crab Champions. It's kind of like a PvE survival type deal where you are a crab and you shoot things, other crabs.
That's cool.
Yeah, wasn't that the same thing as the news article?
No, those are different. Those are two different games.
Talk about a horrible segue.
That was a bad segue.
Gaming news.
Gaming!
There's only bad because you guys decided to argue.
I didn't even give 4 air horns. I only gave 3. There we go.
That's but it's better. Bad, and it kind of makes it funny because it's bad. Comedy. It's great.
Welcome to My Mom Has Tourette's podcast.
Article number 1, Fight Crab 2 is a clumsy, chaotic... We're just going to redo this, I guess. Fight Crab 2 is a clumsy, chaotic, and utterly compelling clash of crustaceans. Clash, not clush. Basically, there's a game coming out.
Andrew's allergic to shellfish.
Looks like it's a sequel of the original Fight Crab in 2019. It's called Fight Crab 2. This game is coming out. Pretty sweet. Looks like you get to be crabs.
I was kissing my son goodnight.
Oh, sweet. Looks like you get to be crabs, you get to fight other crabs, and you can train your crabs, make them like lift weights and stuff, and they'll be even crabbier. And then you get to like just a dog. I don't know, man. It's like
enough
for the Krabby
Club. Krabby Patty.
Interesting.
I hope the more crabby you get in that game,
What's
the
it
more
called?
Actually like crabby you get, as in irritated.
That would be sweet.
That'd be an amazing feature.
Nathan, ooh, you know what I could do is I could just turn on like the eye thing whenever I'm looking at my articles, and it looks like I'm not reading. But yeah, I guess you get to like fight other crabs, and then you get like rewards. And it's like you get like apparently pistols are one of them, so you get a lot of different kind of weapons, I guess, with these crabs.
I'm looking at pictures, and there is a crab whose body is missing, and its claws, or no, is it throwing a tractor, or is it a tractor?
I guess
the really big question of the universe.
I think it's inside the tractor.
So
this game looks
neither.
Pretty fun.
Basically, Fight Crab 2, you get to fight. I guess there's like a single player campaign where you can play there's PvE and crap like that, and then crab like that, got him. And then there's also a PvP mode where you fight other crabs that are other people. Basically, it's like a fighting game but with crabs, and you get to level up and train your crabs. And
This week's fun fact: my mom has crabs.
Boo!
This week's fun fact: we are no longer PG.
Josh keeps making future Nathan have to cut this a little bit more. Oh my gosh! You know what I just found? Okay, no, actually, we'll talk about this right after the gaming news because I don't want to cut in the middle of gaming news. Gaming news article 2. Looks like the original Warzone, which started out March 10th, 2020. It was called the COVID game by me. 3.5 years after it first showed up, the original Warzone is actually shutting down forever. I don't know why that it's lasting 3.5 years and then just getting rid of. Do people just not play it anymore? Like, do they just come out with?
Yeah, I mean,
last year
came
Warzone
out with
2.0.
the second one last year, yeah. So
gotcha.
It was, I guess
people
it was
usually
time.
move on to the next big thing and then cut out the last one. It makes sense, I guess, since they.
There's a crab riding a seal with a horse thing over its mouth, and another crab chasing it riding a shark.
We're just gonna rebrand the podcast to the Crab Fight Podcast.
We've talked about it before, but this is official. This is going to be. It's been about a month. This is going to be Josh's new ADHD fiction.
When does this game come out?
It says to be announced.
All right, cool, whatever.
Do you think this could be something we online PvP?
Sure, I'm down. It sounds like a good time.
What is this? The thing we do once every couple episodes? Play together.
Let us play.
Yeah, let us play.
What is that action that we do together? I don't remember what it's called. Oh, play.
Words are hard.
So, yeah, basically, Warzone is shutting down, and it's the whole article is all about like people just remembering Warzone and the good times they had with it before moving on to bigger and better things, aka Warzone 2, which is what they do now because people don't stick with the originals, they move on to the next thing and next thing and next thing, and before they know it, they're dead. Article 3 of gaming news this week is once again.
People, we're moving on to the next gaming news article.
Yes, sir. We are talking about the Magic the Gathering once again. I know it's been a very common topic for the podcast. Exclusive. I don't know why it needs that in the title. Lord of the Rings returns to Magic the Gathering with 24 new cards and special boosters. So, I guess they decided we didn't have enough of Lord of the Rings, so they're adding 24 new cards, and it's going to be, I guess it says, spread across 4 new art scenes, which are in the new product called a scene box, as well as 5 new rock poster art treatments of past Lord of the Ring cards that will be available in upcoming special edition collector boosters this holiday season. So they are, I guess, moving on to the other worlds, like Fallout and all that crap we talked about. Apparently they're doing Doctor Who at one point, which I might even grab a pack of, because that's awesome.
Interesting.
But I know, it's some very interesting choices there. I love Doctor... Oh, man, I could talk about that all day. But, yeah, I guess the 4 scene boxes that are being put out for this, these 24 new cards, they're each focused on a legendary character from Lord of the Rings. So it would be Gandalf, Galadriel, Aragorn, or the Witch King. So, good old Witch King of Angmar is a definitely legendary character. I don't know if I'd call him a hero like the others as much, but... so, yeah, I guess they'll have... Okay, so it really is, like, straight up, like, it's 4 types of boxes, one focused on each of the different characters, and then each of them has a brand new card featuring that character, plus 5 new cards within their color identity. Oh, that makes sense. I see their color identity, which Magic has, like, the different colors, and you have different types of decks based on those colors, so yeah. But I guess whenever placed in a 2x3 grid, the 6 cards make up a full art scene, which is interesting, and that's cool. Like, go for it. You're gonna make lots of money off this. I don't have the money to shell out on this stuff, but I think it's cool. I love Lord of the Rings, so I'm always down for people to do some cool stuff with it. I'm sure Tolkien is rolling in his grave.
That is very likely. Unless he's become the Witch King, but,
I am sure Tolkien is spinning around in his cairn. What is a cairn? I don't think that's the right word. Cairn.
Cairn.
Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. Cairn. What is a cairn? I don't think that's the right word.
It's a woman with short hair who's like, "Let me see your manager."
No, a Karen is.
A Karen, C-A-I-R-N.
No, a Karen is a human-made pile or stack of stones raised for a purpose, like a marker. I don't know why the word Karen came to my head.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Well, he's inside one of those. This is canon.
He's inside those stacking stones.
Yeah, this is canon. This is Karen. Moving on from gaming news, because the... Okay, I actually do want to say, I did find out just Friday that my wife's cousin, he's young. His name is Jackson. What's up, Jackson? If you're listening, listens
Jackson
to the podcast.
Xmas Jackson Flex.
So we have at least one viewer. No, we have Steven. We have 2 viewers at least. We know that.
My mom.
3.
My mom.
4.
4.
And maybe my mom. So
Shout
I still
out to
haven't
Brandon
really...
Abbey, 5 and 6.
Do they actually listen consistently?
They do.
Dang, what's up, guys? Sorry, that's at least 6. We're making it. This is it. I'm riding this high till the end of time.
Making it.
Okay, we can move on.
Well, where were you going?
You know where I'm going? I'm going to the land of the Talos Principle, which I guess you two decided to finish the latter, third of the game in this past week.
Breaks. What about Jackson?
He listened to the podcast. That's all.
Oh, thanks, Jackson, for being a loyal subscriber. All right, so this week we beat the game.
All right, yeah, they beat the game.
Jackson, for watching these videos, since I was the only one who didn't say it. You are now my 4th favorite. That's about right.
There you go. And
out of 5.
Talos Principle. I guess we are finished much earlier than I expected, because sometimes we had 1 or 2 worlds finished in a week, and now you guys are just done with it. So we're gonna give kind of the final thoughts of the game, of what has been accomplished since, and then next week we're gonna do our actual rating for the game. We're gonna do the final rating, and we're gonna have likely a special guest.
So I was thinking, because we were talking can you guys play more? Should you set more time to play? Should you try to play this many levels? And I was like, I'm already in World C. Everything else is done. The wooden doors were done. So I was like, I'm just going to try to beat the game this weekend since I have nothing else going on. Goodbye, Nathan. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Nathan.
Peekaboo. And...
I'm not trying to throw you off.
Anyways, so I figured at the very least, even if I beat the game, like the other week that I did, where I played a lot more than Andrew, and then I just kept splitting my notes up.
Yeah.
And then Andrew took it as a challenge, turned his insomnia on, and beat the game also.
It's great. So we've beaten it.
I felt like if one of us beats it, we all kind of have to, don't we?
Exciting.
Andrew, I'm curious, because Josh told me a little bit. We try to avoid giving too much information to each other throughout the week because we want to talk about it first on the podcast. Josh called me yesterday, and he was like, Nathan, I finished the game. I didn't like the first ending, so I did a save state. I went back and I went through the other ending because there was more content. So... He was like, I don't know.
There's a lot more content.
He's just like...
There's a whole other hour to 2 hours.
He was like, how do I tell Andrew?
I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was the most annoying. I wish I just would have walked out the door.
The very last, I guess you'd call it major puzzle, boss battle, whatever you want it to be, that wasn't difficult. But the sheer amount of time it took to get to that last part was painstakingly boring. I just felt like it had finally hit me personally that I was like, I am playing a game where I have devoted at least 60 hours to solving puzzles. Nathan, you know what one of my least favorite things to do is?
Solve puzzles.
A puzzle. Just a little puzzle thing, and then something in my brain was like, you are just playing a virtual puzzle finally. And so after I had done... I'd probably say it was around the center tower 4. I was like, why am I doing this? Just go back to the big door. You know that's going to end the game. It has to. It's gonna be a crappy ending, but it's got to. And then I was like, no, I will not. And I hated myself.
We learned that this game taught Andrew that he doesn't like puzzle games.
I found myself arguing with the robots.
Yes! Yeah. Oh, they were so dumb! So dumb!
The one, you'd walk down to get the laser, and he's like, oh, I'm going to stand on the button, and then the floor would go up. I'm like, no, stop. And then when you get past him, because you shoot him over the wall, then the other one would go,
that one
and
was
then
the
it would...
shepherd, right?
Yeah, then he would flip the wall up like this, and I'm like, I don't need you to do that. Stop. Please just go away. Like, I'm getting out of here, you're staying.
For some androids who should at least be at my intelligence level, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yes, it was sheer annoyance. But continue, Josh. I'd like to hear your story, because I will divulge what ending I got.
I'm excited to hear...
You want me to start from level C?
Your thoughts
World C level 1?
I have a question.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where we left off before.
Before Josh gets into that, did you guys get all the stars?
Yes.
Yeah, I did, yes.
And you did all the star levels and stuff?
I did all the star levels, but the pieces you got, where it said like 6 at the top in gray, I never got to do anything with that.
I kind of felt a little stupid, because it took me like 30 minutes to figure out what the gray 6 was, and then I was like, oh, that would just be tower level 6, you smart guy.
Yeah, and I thought that too, but I never got to use the pieces to unlock anything.
Oh, well, do tell what happened then.
Alright, so
Josh,
I guess we'll start from the beginning.
Just go. Well, I'm excited to hear about this.
Doing World C level 1, did the first puzzle. I was exploring the area. There was a little... This was a little cool, but it frustrated me at the same time. While I was exploring the area, on level 1 in World C, there was a glitched red tile in the dirt. Did you see this at all?
A glitched red tile? I don't.
So you know how like the dirt in the world, it's just a path.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the paths, like if you were to put tiles together to make it,
you
know how like the game randomly just like
yeah.
It was on the ground just doing that. So I was like looking at it, because like, you know, sometimes it'll do it over here, then it'll do it over here. Well, it just kept doing the same spot. I walked on it, immediately fell all the way through the world, down this metal shaft to the ground. And all of a sudden, it opens up to this room, and everything's shaking violently. Elohim is losing his crap. I wrote some quotes down. It says, I fell through the map down a tunnel. Elohim was struggling to keep it together. Maybe he's breaking apart, but it also goes with what Andrew was saying about maybe in the game they were making it seem like Elohim was crazy, and there was never anything wrong with the tower. And by saying that, referring to Adam and Eve, maybe there was something going on there, like a power struggle, and there was nothing wrong with the tree, which we all know isn't true. He was freaking out. I thought I wrote quotes down, but I didn't. But like it had nothing to do with like the tower or anything. It was just like he was trying to reboot himself, if that makes sense. And the whole world was shaking, and then there was like this that normal portal. It was sitting there in the middle. So Elohim would just keep repeating himself on the loop. So if you were done with that, you could just walk to and leave. The castle plate piece, where you have to get the 3 boxes in the air with the reflector on top. By luck, I ran fast enough and it worked out.
Nice.
Wait till I read the last one, what happened, how I beat it, and then I ended up watching a video, and a guy beat it a different way, and I found out the way I did it was not the way it was supposed to be done. I found another blue computer. I found the star, working on getting it outside where the turret gun is. There's a reflector you need for the star. But there's a slab of concrete on the ground. Okay, so remember the star? There's out in the middle of the map. There's just a random tower that's not a part of a puzzle with a turret. And below that turret is one of them reflector pieces. and you have to jam that turret from another.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a
That
slab
one
of
was
concrete.
really annoying.
Yeah. Well, there's a slab of concrete on the ground outside of that. And when you walked up to it, it kept giving you the option to click to use it. But every time I tried to click on it, it never did anything. Did you notice that? I'll take that as a no. Okay. All right. Computer argued with me again, like Andrew was talking about last week, about being good and what means the most to you. And you could only choose one option, even though I chose all of the above 6 or 7 times. It said I didn't have the means to solve all the issues. So the one answer I wanted to give, it wouldn't let me give, so I eventually had to choose another answer to keep the dialogue moving on. I died on the last puzzle, so it reset everything. I beat it, did everything to unlock the star, but in the process of getting everything set up again, I fell through that stupid hole that I was telling you about, Elohim, because I wasn't paying attention. So that was level 1. Anything you'd like to add to your level 1?
Nope.
All right,
Did
level
you,
2. Level 1.
Was that level 1? No, that was 2 or 3 I'm thinking of. Go ahead.
All right. Level 2, walked into level 2 and immediately saw the out-of-place red door in front of me.
That's what
Walked through it and some dude was throwing money in the air, laughing scarily.
Yeah, that was... I found out that was like the CEO of the company or something. It was
I immediately
just a little
thought
Easter egg.
7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
It's like the whole time I was playing, I was like thinking of the biblical level, and then you just walk through that door and he's doing that. I'm like, is this one of the 7 Deadly Sins? I have no idea or understanding what this is here for. All right. Computer level 2 talked about the end days, and the guy wanted to spend his last days with his family. Even though they were arguing, he didn't want to be alone in his last days. I don't know why, but it immediately made me think that he is the one who created all of this, and maybe he uploaded his brain or something. And they created Elohim to kind of guide the others who uploaded as well. The puzzle immediately to the left took a hot minute to figure out how the platform thing worked with the recorder. The puzzle to the right of the castle place where the gray mines was way too easy. I didn't even use all the puzzle pieces to do it, so I feel like I was missing something. The Rapunzel puzzle took me a hot minute because the blue recording kept getting messed up. He either went into the wall, and I couldn't... So when I was doing the recording, when I'd walk up to the wall as him, I guess my game was glitching him into the wall as the recording. So when I was playing my character, he was in the wall, and it wouldn't allow me to interact with him. Or he'd run into the wall so hard that the objects that were on top of him were falling off. So I had to keep resetting it and redoing it. Sadly, couldn't figure out how to get the star, so I watched the video. While watching the video, I discovered I accidentally found a key for an Easter egg, but I didn't bother doing it. Because the Rapunzel one, you know where you're at the top, and then you have to have the guy come over, bring everything, and you put it on top. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
There's like these 2 gargoyle bird things coming off the pillars. Well, I was like looking to the left trying to do something, and then it was like gave me the option to click use, and it was a key that was sitting on top of the head of that statue. But I guess if you get the blocks, that pillar up to your left of that, you can climb up there, and there's like a shrine to something.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. Gold star room, world B unlocked. Computer had a random picture of what I think is the elevator buttons of the tower. Wanted to quit on the last one because I had to keep starting over, but managed to get it finally. You want to add anything, or you want me to go to level 3?
Go for it. You don't even have to go world by world if you don't want to. Just whatever was kind of
like there's only like 6 or 7.
Oh.
Level 3, I immediately ran and fell off the map.
Me too.
It was just like, Earl was like, oh, never mind.
I like the aesthetics of World 3 a lot. I like the aesthetics of the game in general, but...
And that was the one with the big castle kind of off on the distance, right?
Yeah.
I thought so, okay.
The the map with the Easter egg that spells out Nexus, I think it's the last level when you're like, there's 4
I think so.
gargoyles and a fan, and the fan shoots you really high up in the air.
Yeah.
The lasers are supposed to connect Nexus, but I had to restart on a puzzle, so it reset that puzzle, so I didn't see the Easter egg.
That was what was so irritating to me. I'd
Yeah.
start to try to find these stars, and then I'd restart a puzzle because
Yep, and it reset everything in that.
Yeah, and oh my gosh.
I was
That's what
getting
started
mad.
getting me irritated.
If
Yeah.
you die or you reset for a puzzle, because sometimes like you trap yourself and you have to reset, and it resets an entire thing. So like things you've already
Like
done
the
over
whole
here, you have
world.
to go back and reset to be able to. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a pain.
The puzzles got harder. I struggled with them. The computer guy yelled at me for talking about having a seat on the ark. The last puzzle where the star is, there's a strange creature hanging off the ledge by one arm. I had no idea what it was. I just found it by accident. After standing there for a minute, it let go and it fell back like wee. And while it was falling back, it yelled, "Fly, you fools!" And then it fell down and it had one eye. I'd left it alone. All right, come back to it. I'd almost everything figured out for the star except the last door. I watched a video partly, and once that caught on, I stopped watching and finished the rest. And then as soon as I finished the star, I jumped off the cliff to chase the monster, and he was stuck at the bottom, free falling, like just frozen like this. Like he never glitched out or anything. And then when I jumped, I just went right past him, and then Elohim like electrocuted me and reset me. Level 4. Pretty easily. Actually went through it pretty quick. Computer guy argued with me again, said something about he's the one that archived all of the data. Is there a reason that the data he has archived has corrupted? This is what I wrote down. So Milton talks about how he's archived all of it. But why is it corrupting? Is it because just stuff corrupts over time? Or is it because he has issues? So it's just a little something I was thinking about. Found the star, but had no idea how to get them, so I looked it up. I got so freaking mad because the one star on the level called Throne Room, I had figured it out by myself. So when you walk into the Throne Room, you can see all the lasers in front of you, but you turn to the right, and then you got to get that laser and shoot it through the wall, and then you have to climb up on top of that wall. I was jumping on the pillars, parkouring, thinking I can get over there. Had no idea I was this close to just having, instead of parkouring onto the next pillar, just floating the box on the fan. And then for some reason, it just allowed me to have this crazy jump distance to the platform to go get the star. So I was like, I had everything but that box on the fan. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's another thing that really irritates me about, like mechanically wise, it irritates me about that. There are plenty of times where like to solve the puzzle, all you have to do is set a block next to a wall to jump on the wall. But like 8 out of 10 times, you can do the same thing in another puzzle on like a shorter elevation, and it won't let you. It gets me so
that was
irritated.
the thing. Like I watched it, and I'm like, I've been parkouring on the wall the whole time. And all I needed to do was hover a box on the fan. But the distance when you roll in that box to that jump was crazy. I thought, no way would that allow me. But as soon as you get on that box, it's like, press space to jump. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
It took me until like World C, like, I think it was C3, maybe C4, until I realized that I didn't have to time all my jumps. If it shows up, you can just kind of... I was like, that's ridiculous.
So that kind of bothered me, just how it didn't make sense that the jumps distance was just increased out of nowhere just to get that star. So that was it. The second star, I don't think I would ever figured out how to, because the level had to be beat and the crate had to be at the starting point. So you remember the second star was where there's already a laser connected and it's shooting through a little window and there's a mine going back and forth.
Yeah.
And you have to take the box up top, block the mine.
Mm-hmm.
I had to reset the puzzle to be able to get that box back on the ground to be able to get the star. So when I watched the video and I found out that's what I had to do, I had to reset the puzzle. And so I have here also the box had to be at the starting point. I beat the level and then I had to hold X to reset the level. The box would be reset. Also, never knew you could jump over the blue barrier fields like that. Because you were on your dude and he was jumping as the recording. Is having to reset the puzzle to get the box back to the starting point, is that on purpose or is there another way?
I think it might be on purpose because I had to do that more than once in some of the worlds, and then because I noticed that some of because I want to say it was in 5 where you can only have certain objects in a certain area at a certain time. So like you actually have to go back and not finish the puzzle. You just have to get like if I knew I needed like 2 blocks to reach somewhere higher and I still needed a connector, I would have to reset the puzzle, go back and do that, and then go to the other area to try to figure out the rest of how to get the star. But I had to do that quite a few times.
Okay. Because I just felt like, because that crate was down the ladder next to that mine. There's no way to get it back up the ladder. So if you beat it, you have to reset it. So level 5, computer had an email or whatever it is about a LAN party because it was the end of the world. Does this have to do with Elohim in this virtual world? Was there some extinction event coming that they knew about? And they created this world and the archive to put everyone in, and Elohim was supposed to watch over it and protect it? Is the computer person we have been talking to another person or program that doesn't agree with humans being into virtual reality? The first puzzle on the left was easy. The next puzzle on the right, called Dumbwaiter. You know what I'm talking about? You come in, there's stairs to the left with the reflector, and then you have to use the fan to push the box over that wood piece to fall down.
Okay.
So I beat it, but in trying to find the stars, I watched a video. Found out that I didn't beat it the proper way. I beat it with brute force. So how I did it was there's the fan that's supposed to shoot the box over for it to fall down. Well, I couldn't figure out that you had to shoot the laser between the pieces of wood to activate it. So I ran up there, because you go through that purple barrier, then you run up the steps, and I ran into the box. And when I ran into the box with my character, it just like fumbled the box through, and then it fell. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I just assumed that's what I had to do.
Because I didn't know how to get the fan on, so I just like hit the box. It went through the hole.
Now I'm wondering how many of these that I've done quote wrong because I don't necessarily watch those videos.
I found myself the last 3 weeks thinking like I either did something by accident and it worked compared to what I've seen people like that level. The guy beat it with the stuff that the puzzle was designed with when I just like ran at the box.
Yeah, so there are multiple ways to beat a lot of puzzles, actually, and I think it's intentional. The devs didn't really want to, like, try to fix that. They were like, yeah, we have, like, a way that we set up the puzzle for, but I think they went through and, like, if something was, like, clearly an exploit to easily, like, beat a level in a way it shouldn't have been, like, oh, I can just jump over this and then get the thing. But, like, normally there's, in a lot of puzzles at least, like, multiple ways to do it. And I think it's cool. I think it just makes you...
It wasn't an exploit by any means.
Oh, yeah,
I think I tried to like stand on the fan, and when it shoots you up, you smack your head off the box, and then the box went through the hole, and I was like,
"That'll do."
Well, did that unlock the barrier? Then I realized it did, and I'm like, okay, there's the puzzle piece.
Yeah, a lot of times whenever something like that would happen, I really was just thinking to myself, you know what? I don't even care. I just want to move on. I want to be done with this. I started like rushing through some of the computer prompts. I was like, I don't care. I want to beat this game. Let's go. Show me the end.
I just hate that you felt like you had to finish it because you didn't enjoy the ending at all.
It just took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I usually
Yeah.
have a decent
Yeah.
gauge on, the game's going to end soon. And then I'm like, granted, I seem to do like I guess it would be a completionist run to try to get like the hardest ending or whatever, but it
I'm not
still
happy with
felt
the
like it
ending,
took forever.
but we'll
Why
get
not,
there.
Josh?
We'll get there. Level 5. I couldn't figure out the close and jammed puzzle, so I ended up looking up wrong. That's when I found out I did the Dumbwaiter puzzle wrong.
I hated that puzzle so much. I don't remember very
I
many of the
I
names, but I
probably
definitely
spent
remember
30
that one.
minutes watching the thing go boing, boing,
Yeah.
because I just couldn't figure out what to do. Um,
Any of the
levels.
ones that have like the recording on it, except for albeit a few, I hate them.
The recordings
There's
are
some that are cool.
they're rough.
Like
Then
some
there's-
of they're either like extremely easy and I figure it out as soon as I walk in, or I know I'm gonna be there for a while.
Yeah.
The one I hate, the most hated recording one I had is from earlier levels, where it was like 7 of those force fields with the pressure pads, and you had to set everything down as your normal thing. Go
was
record, reset everything down, go back, and then follow him. I hated that
Just
one.
the back and forth, the constant like having to,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
you unlock
Yeah.
one thing and you have to go back and move it all around, and
Yes, I hated
pain.
that. I was.
Now, what was I gonna ask you? Did you? Oh wait, never mind. You're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Level 6. The one puzzle with all the lasers was annoying. Went to get the puzzle piece and found a hole in the wall. I walked through the hole and there was a Minecraft sword stuck in a rock.
Yeah.
The puzzles I feel like got hard out of nowhere, except the one that was straight jammers. The whole puzzle was easy. That one was crazy easy. I watched a video for the star. The computer guy was arguing with me again. I missed the chance to woof at him.
I did not.
I was like, I was reading and I found my answer. Like, you know how when you're going through ABC, like, oh, that one sticks with you? Now, as I was clicking it, I saw down, I said, woof, and I'm like, oh, darn it. Did you woof at him?
No, I wanted to. I like seeing all the different options and being like, because there's one, like when I think it was in World 2, C2, whenever he starts like he keeps questioning you and questioning your logic about, well, how would you decide who goes on the ark? And it was just, he just gets so annoying.
Yeah, he does.
He's ridiculous.
Well, talking further, your character goes off on him, and that was pretty awesome. Your character ends up writing like a whole paragraph. I'm like, get him.
Kid.
Let me read this last piece, and then I have
Queen.
a question. I got an achievement by accident called Press the Serpent that others apparently have a hard time getting. Because when you're arguing with him, I guess certain dialogues get you that. Because I watched a video for the star, and he was like, I gotta make sure I give the right answers so I can get that achievement. Andrew, all the star worlds, not the star worlds, the wooden doors. I wanted to beat the game without using them, but I also wanted to use them to see what they did. Did you ever use their help?
I wanted to. The first time I tried to was on C4, I believe. And so I painted it to get help, and then he just said, "Are you sure you want to help? There's only
not
so
much
many of
left."
us." And
Yeah.
I was like, "No, whatever. You're just either not going to help me much then, or I'm going to use it and it's going to be something stupid. They're going to be like, "Oh, you have to use boxes." And I'm going to be like, "Well, no duh, Sherlock." So I was just
It was
like,
on the sign when I walked in.
yeah. And I'm like, I can't. I'm not going to do it. So I didn't use them at all.
Nathan, did you ever use one?
No.
I'm
I've
just
actually not seen
curious,
that
like,
function of the game because I never really. At
I'm
first,
just
when you
curious
try
what
to
they
like,
do.
when you try to like use it, it's like, oh, you gotta find our like, I forget what it says.
Yeah, they're in the wooden doors.
Yeah.
The wooden door world levels.
And
apparently, if you do it, you get a cryptic hint.
That's it.
I just randomly looked up one, and it's like, let me find it again. It says, "There's a box to your right. Keep walking." So it's like really stupid stuff that maybe that the devs knew was going to be hard to find. I guess I don't know, but I'm glad I didn't use them because that's dumb.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have been upset.
I feel like
level 7. Go ahead.
I enjoyed the game a lot, and I did have trouble on some puzzles. Like there were some I was just like
Mhm.
scratching my head. Like I feel like I've done every
Yeah.
possible but I don't think my first playthrough of this back in the day, like a few years ago when I started, I don't think I ever looked up any of them. I think I had to look up 1 star because I wanted to get it, and I had given up. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not going to waste any more time trying to figure out how to get this. But generally, I was not looking up stuff, and I don't think I ever had any so difficult that I just felt like I didn't want to. I think I'm generally more like Andrew, where I want to figure it out myself. But if I feel like it's impacting my enjoyment of the game, at this point I will be like, okay, I'm gonna look at how to do it. I don't think any of the actual puzzles I ever had to do that, which I think is nice because I was able to figure it all out myself. But I just think it's really, I don't know. Do you think those angel things that are supposed to help you? You're asking for your what's the word? Um, you're trying to get help from those people, those whatever, and they just give like a cryptic hint. Do you really think the whole point of that was just like, oh, well, we played this, and there's one thing that people might not think of, so maybe we'll just give them a hint toward that thing in case?
Well, it just doesn't make sense to me because you can't even unlock them until you go into World C.
Yeah.
But yet you can go back and apparently use it in the other worlds. It's like
Yeah.
I couldn't use this for 2/3 of the game.
It's odd.
But you're only going to let me unlock it the last third, but I still have access to it somehow in the first 2 parts of the game, which after getting the ending I understand why, but it's just so stupid. It's so stupid.
Anyway, sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
Basically, the game is
good.
hard, and it gets harder and more complex, and I think I enjoyed the difficulty of the puzzles.
It does, but it was easy up to like,
for the most part,
level 5.
Yeah,
of
World C gets a lot harder.
Yeah.
It
like
really
World
does.
C was easy for the most part, and then it's just like a light switch.
Well, let's start with World 5 then, homie.
Yeah, what's up?
Level 7. The voice memos also talk about all the humans dying. It wasn't too bad. The laser level with the star in it was pretty easy, and the star was probably the easiest to get out of all the stars. Because it was in the puzzle, and the laser was there. You just connected it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
As soon as I finished level 7, I beat the game, got the good ending, but it was a bad ending in my opinion. I did not like it. I hated it. It reset you to the very beginning of the game, so I did a resave set. Was very disappointed. I had so much more I wanted to do.
So what happens when you walk through that door? Because I did not.
Yeah, you should explain like exactly what happens, like as much detail as you can.
So
because
I
never did that one either, because I wanted to do the tower.
To me, and I guess it's just because these are the types of games that I like to play. 9 times out of 10, if the ending is staring you in the face, there's another one. There's a better one somewhere. And I was like, I'm not.
Well, and I don't play these kind of games.
Well, yeah.
So that's why when I got that ending, I was like, I need to talk to Andrew because. So my thinking was, I thought there was going to be more. This whole game, we thought we had to make a decision at some point. Okay, so I thought, well, I'll just walk through that gate. So when you come out of level 7, Elohim's like, congratulations, you've done everything I've said before you. I'm proud of you. The gates are open to you. You walk to the end of the hall. The door's open. It's a bright light. You walk through it, and it's like the typical movie heaven. You're on clouds. There's a golden gate. It opens. It's all gold around you. And then it resets you back to the very first level 1.
Do you understand now why it does that, though? After you finish the game? Okay, cool. So we'll get to there.
And I didn't like it. I thought the whole game coming through that the ending was gonna be a matter of I thought the 3 endings would be a matter of the choice you chose. I thought you would like walk up somewhere and be like, okay, here's your choices.
That literally was your
Defy
choice,
me.
though. Go into those gates or climb the
Yeah,
tower.
I thought it wasn't gonna be like that.
You thought it was gonna be like together at one section, a
confrontation.
crossroads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
So
in a way,
those doors.
ending the game by following Elohim and finishing World C, and then he's like, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," and then you like walk through that gate and everything. That is you choosing to stick with him till the end and never question him.
Yeah, and I got that after I did it. I thought that was just a door to another.
Yeah, in your head, you thought it would continue the game. You didn't realize that was the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know how much. I just thought like once I went through the door, I was like, okay, this is where the decision's going to be made past this is whether. But I was wrong. So I reset, and then I proceeded with the tower. I had all of the stars except for the last one, and level 5 had the last star. So before I talk about the levels, I'm just going to say that once I found the star by accident. It was pretty cool. It was funny. Well, I will get to it. Level 2. Had to redo floor 1 because I had to go talk to the computer again to unlock the second floor because I didn't do it the first time.
We're talking about for those listening, we're talking about the tower now in the center of the map. It's outside of the 3 main levels, and this is essentially
where Elohim
at the
doesn't
beginning.
Want you to go.
He dude's like, don't climb this thing, yo. You can do everything else, just don't do that. This is the fruit in the garden.
So I already did floor 1, but I had to go back and talk to the computer again, and to do that I had to rebeat the puzzle. The Tetris thing, the door 2, did it on the first try. It was super easy.
Nice.
The box puzzle for the floor 2 was awesome. I don't know why, but I loved it. Having to put the boxes in the little hole and then just keep like pushing yourself up. I was like, yeah, this is cool. The computer talked about Elohim in Samsara trapped somebody called the Shepherd. That he was like kidnapped and trapped. So they didn't really get much more into that. And the other piece of note on there was that there was a couple suicide note. We don't condone suicide, or we do or we don't. I always forget how this word works.
I'm pretty sure if you condone something, you're saying you approve of it.
Okay, we don't.
That's correct. Yeah.
We don't condone it.
Holy crap!
I used to make that same mistake.
No, I'm not making fun of you, but just starting off saying we don't condone suicide. Wait, do we?
I condone seems like
condone is like I mean
I always get it mixed up, but it's bad. But it was
because you're thinking of condemn.
Yes,
condone is.
And like condone,
I agree.
If I'm
condemn
is
nah.
Yeah, like condone sounds like bad. So then I'm like,
you're used to the word
if I condone something, it's bad. But then condone is we agree, so it's a twist. So don't do it. But the note was crazy that they did all this work. Their days were coming. But whatever this extinction event that was coming was, they didn't want to deal with the dreary last few days, so they were going out together, and it was crazy. Like, I was like, whoa.
Sad.
So I did that. Level 3 Tetris wasn't bad either. There wasn't much to talk about for level 3. Nothing really on the computer. Alexandra's recordings are getting sadder on level 4. Cool Way having to jump up and grab the keys for the door to the computer. The computer had a letter from someone saying they were proud of Alexandra because she stayed until the end. Then I wrote a question to myself for the podcast. Are these voice recordings like in The Walking Dead, the scientist that in the CDC building, and every time he works, he sits in front of the computer to do those recordings? Are these recordings of Alexandra what we're hearing, her doing the same thing?
I think something like that. I'm not entirely certain, but they're just, from my understanding, leftover remnants of like some of her work, which somehow didn't get corrupted, and so it's kind of like feeding you like information about this researcher who worked on everything that exists in like the world that you know. in this world of Talos Principle, and it kind of like shares some insight into her life. I do want to say, because you mentioned her recordings, I found one of the recordings so poignant, it was the one where she talks about losing her friend.
Yeah, that's next. Don't say it.
Okay. So poignant.
Andrew, does that make sense to you? That Walking Dead episode thing?
No, I don't know if I got that far. Which I don't know what episode.
It's pretty early on. I mean, Rick and all of them are still alive. So he's trapped in the CDC building. They have super security, and every time he goes to like try to figure out what's causing people to turn into the walkers, he sits at a computer and does like a recording of like what he did that day, what he's learned.
This is literally season 1, and there are 6 episodes in season 1.
Is that in season 1?
There's the one they went to the CDC was episode 6 of season 1.
Okay. I just feel like some of these recordings are her doing the same thing, like as it's getting later, whatever. Because like apparently they know the extinction event is coming, so like she knows that there's a countdown, and she's like doing these recordings, and they're getting sadder and sadder. We're running out of time. We're working with video game code and all this, and we needed more time. And level 5. Alexandra's breathing real hard as she talks. I got an achievement called Good Listener for listening to all her recordings. I'll miss her. I think that's the one where she was talking about her friend on level 5.
Yeah.
That was pretty sad. Like, she tried to justify, like, downplay it, like, she was one in of a billion people that's ever walked the planet, but like she was.
But then she talked about just how like unique every person is. Like I just thought that I really enjoyed the writing, because it's a game. Someone wrote this, but I really enjoyed the writing of that.
There's so much conflict. Like she just wanted to be like. There's so many people in the world. Like it's just a blip on them. I think that was her exact word. Was she's a blip, or they were a blip. But then she's like, but I'll miss her. And they're unique. And, you know, I was like, she went from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Cool. Yeah, it was, she was just like, it was like.
She was conflicted.
It was very conflicted. And is that really the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Because as soon as you walk out of the window into the railings, that completely look out of place. Like, they're just metal beams on the side of the building. Walked out, you can just like doink doink, and then there's some pigeons queuing behind you. You turn, walked out on the beam, thought I was playing Assassin's Creed, fell off the tower, right down. I thought I was gonna die, but I fell through a skylight and I found that last star. So as soon as I got that star, I went and I beat the gold room in World C. It was pretty easy. The one I struggled with, the one was all the electrocuting mines, but I eventually got that. Cool Easter egg that was added in 2016 update. At the same time, they changed a bunch of the maps. That Easter egg was the fans. Like when you complete the puzzle, there's just a random fan there, and if you step on it, it shoots you over. And then there's like 4 gargoyles, and there's a fan that shoots you up, and then like all the lasers are supposed to spell out the word Nexus or something. And then when you fall down, you jump back on the other fan and it shoots you back, and then you can be done. When the game was created, that was not there.
Gotcha.
So 2014. That was the same time, remember that video where there was a missing tree? That guy's video in 2014 had a tree. 2016, I guess there was a pretty big update where they added that Easter egg. They got like, the tree out and moved some things around. So that was interesting. I beat the game a second time. It was better. Just didn't figure out what to do with the pieces from the stars. The ending was annoying. I didn't realize it was timed, so I jumped off the edge of one of the things and fell to the platform below. And my world, like, got super dark. And I thought it got dark because, like, I got injured from falling. And then as I was, like, making my way back up the puzzles, I died. And I'm like... okay, why, like, did I just bleed out as a robot? Did my hydraulic fluid go out somewhere or whatever? And then I realized that, like, the storm you climb through coming up the steps all of a sudden turns nasty as you're climbing up the tower after you just walk through the storm. So I eventually beat it, and those stupid robots were freaking annoying. But no, I didn't figure out what to do with the puzzle pieces. I got to the top, and then Elohim was also like, this is the way you were supposed to beat the game. And I'm like, so both ways were supposed to be done. I was either supposed to listen to you or deny you. Both of them are the correct thing to do. I was like, okay. And there was another golden thing with a computer. From what I read, you have the ability to save Milton, but he didn't like me. So he said, mockingly, I'll be here when you get back. And I, like, mouthed off to him because I was like, I'm done. I'm not taking your crap no more. And the game ended. You, like... How the game ends is, like, there's a dark server room without power. And because of what you just accomplished in the game, re-energizes the entire room, turns a bunch of servers on, and, like, your I don't want to say your memory, but whatever you were in this simulation gets transferred to a robot body in this room that's like on a doctor table, slabs with cords and stuff connected to it, and the robot turns on, and then the robot walks out this long hallway, and it's like a destroyed world. You can see all the buildings are like partially destroyed, and the vines and stuff are growing up like the post-apocalyptic world you see. And that was it. So the last thing I have at the bottom was what caused the end of the human world. Like, did they ever get into it? Because they knew it was coming.
No.
Like, they were planned.
I don't believe...
'cause I didn't understand that either.
I don't believe we were meant to.
On it.
The game is not about the apocalypse. The game is about humanity creating something that will outlive them.
No.
That will eventually outlive them.
You can't talk about the end of the world being planned, and they're all running out of time.
We might learn more about it in the Talos Principle
party.
2. Talos Principle 2 might have more about it. I don't know. We don't know the story, whatever it'll be about.
Listen, I'm a sucker for a post-apocalyptic thing, so when you talk about a planned human extinction event, I want to know.
What do you mean planned? Does it mention that it was planned?
The entire thing talks... They never used the word planned, but they knew it was coming. The entire thing...
Well, it could have been like,
like
there's like a planet hurtling toward Earth and it's going to destroy us or something. Well, obviously that didn't hapen. Earth exists.
No, that wasn't it.
Yeah, whatever. Well, but like... It could have been something they knew was going to happen, but they didn't cause it.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean they caused it.
I immediately thought it was the very prototypical of they're just running out of resources.
Yeah, or that.
There was no proof of that, but just the way that it seemed like a really slow burn throughout the whole game of like, all right, well, we're going to make this as a backup, and then it eventually became, well, this seems pretty inevitable, and then it's
I don't think that was it either. Because the last couple
play the second game and find out, bro.
They talk about how that they knew that there was only a couple days left. Like that suicide note, I'm pretty sure talks about how there was only a couple days left, but they didn't want to stick around for all the sadness and stuff, and they were happy then, so they wanted to go out happy. Like
maybe nuclear war.
Could have been
next October, we're gonna blow everybody up. You have a year to get things figured out.
I mean, it could be a lot of things. I mean, it could have been that. It could have been maybe there was some sort of nuclear fallout, and if there's no way to contain that radiation and it just keeps spreading, maybe they knew that, because you can calculate that sort of stuff. I can go on Google right now and they could say, if we live at the current rate or the current population rate, with the resources we have, the world can only survive X amount of years or whatever.
Well, a little off topic.
I mean, they're scientists, so I'm sure.
But isn't Cannonsburg the most nuclear?
Yes, in the United States.
Yep.
I've heard about that, and that's something we don't necessarily have to talk about on the podcast, but I would like to talk more about that because I've heard.
Do a video on your Papa Yaga.
I'm not against it. I'm starting to get back into making those again. I'm excited. But
So
do you have any
Andrew,
other
tell me,
thoughts? Or Andrew, intern's turn.
I never got to use all the star pieces,
Okay, but
and
are you
I thought
saying
about doing
I'm
a
sorry.
resave, but I was like, I beat
Yeah.
the game.
Andrew, he seems to have used them, so he's aware of what's up with that. But are you saying you didn't like the ending?
No.
Okay.
Because whatever video that we watched, not whatever video we watched, the episode where we had our crackpot theories were far different than how the game ended.
Josh, I feel like you were incredibly close. Like what you said in the very first episode talking about this game and what you thought might have happened, I was like, he basically just explained it.
And I get that, but I thought like we'd be faced with making a decision that was gonna be like catastrophic and like, but it was like no, either way
more
was
subtle
meant
than
to
that.
happen.
Yeah. Andrew,
you talk. Yeah, it was. First of all, I've been waiting to say this, but I'm so happy that one of my crackpot theories finally came true. The freaking cat, my God. Now, it was only like 50% true, but I'm taking the win where I can get it. So, I got all the stars and everything, and with the stars, you have to unlock the star level in World C, and after you finish all those puzzles I don't know if they're randomly generated or if they're the same in every game, but there's little posters in different sections of the star world with like a number next to the stars.
Yes.
And you have to use those 3 numbers for when you get up to level 5 to proceed to level 6.
Oh, dude,
So,
I always saw the stars having. I think the last one was 4. I think B was 5. I didn't realize you had to.
Yeah, mine was like, I think mine was 358, I think. So they might be different, or maybe it's 458. I don't know.
So tell me, Andrew, did you get a different ending than Josh?
It sounds
because
like it.
There's 3 endings. There's the one where you just walk through the gate at the end of World C. Good job, dude. Rat in the maze.
Didn't do that one.
Start over the rat in the maze again, which Josh did. He's like, nah, that's dumb. So then he got to the top of the tower.
Yeah. So I did get a different one because I'm assuming once you do 5, you go on that fan and just straight up to quote heaven or whatever, right?
I had to do all that. You just go up. So once you do 5, you got to go outside, go up the stairs, and it's a long run up the stairs. Elohim tries to shove you down the stairs, and then you go up, and then you got to work with all those robots.
I mean,
he just did this.
Maybe I got the same ending.
Oh, yeah, you did that? Okay.
I guess I don't know. That's
you had
weird.
to do all those different puzzles, and the robots were helping you complete them. Then at the end, you get to the very top and you beat the storm. I don't remember what happens.
Because I got the whole like freaking. So you complete the level 6 tower part, and I'm pretty sure you jump on the fan and it takes you up to heaven, and you go through and everything gets freaking rebooted. Like it goes on. Basically, you go to the computer and you choose to like basically wipe everything. Everything gets wiped, but it gets sent to a backup. It looks like you're in a server room. And it gets sent to something called like the golden disk or golden file or something.
It's like child something.
Yeah. And so when you do that, the only difference that I really had was I ended up getting that stupid cat. You walk out like the freaking. Listen, the ending's so freaking confusing. I don't know if that's still your consciousness that got transferred over, if that's a completely different thing. But like,
no, I think they tested it because while everything's deleting, it talks about like memory deleted. So I think they wanted you to like
memory was deleted. That's saying that it was already they made it, at least to me, it seemed like they had already put the backup on another person, and then the files were deleted.
So how I
Locally.
took it is, I think what because Milton at the end talks about how, like, oh, there's so many before you, but you're just the one that managed to get this far. I think they had like a test for everything to get through, which was the Talos Principle, and then when someone was wholesome enough to get that far, it got uploaded to a robot. So like they tested whatever the consciousness or the AI it passed, they reset the memory, and now they're letting it live in a physical robot.
I don't know. It was super freaking confusing to me. The only thing I was excited about was I had to go back because I thought. Now, normally I wouldn't have done it because I just wanted to get the game done with at this point. But I did remember I found and this is how I got the cat, but I found the wooden, like the wood that you usually have to break open with the axe. It was somewhere, I want to say it was World B. It was like level, like World 2, 3, or 4. It was one of the early ones. And I found that, but I never found like a way to bring the axe into that area. So I was looking around, and there's apparently, which I'm assuming is some sort of Easter egg, because you can find a crowbar, but it's called like the CRO is capitalized, which I don't understand why. I never figured that out. But you just take that crowbar and you walk over. It's like 100, 200 feet away from where you're at. You take that crowbar back to the little wooden area. You break it and you fall down a big hole. And apparently, that's where I found out. Apparently, these guys did work on like Portal, and I did look up. There was like another box, because you fall down this hole and it kind of looks like a museum, right? And it's like fully lit, and you have like to your right, you have this like kind of cartoonish looking box. That's the one I had to look up. It was called Serious Sam. I guess it was another game that they worked on.
Yeah, that's that game with that movie theater I was telling you about. And the person, yeah.
Yeah, so they had like a block from there. They had a Minecraft block, go figure.
The Portal companion cube.
The Portal love cube. Oh, okay, yeah. I never played Portal.
They're so good.
If it's anything like this, I'm good. Chief, thanks, man. It was fun. It's just it was too much for me at one point. But there were those, and you still had the crowbar, and I was like, because when I find something, I just want to look like all around the perimeter of where I'm at to see if there's more to it than I realized. And there was only one box that you could like interact with, and you had to break it. And I was like, oh, cool. But when you fall freaking down there, you hear a cat meowing, my guy, and I'm like, bro, I gotta find this cat. This is my crackpot theory, and they're serving it to me on a platter. Hey. So I'm like looking around, and I'm like, oh, well, the only thing I could seem to do is like break this box. And then the cat just gets out and he starts running, and he runs like through this little tiny like box that you can't get through. It's like a passageway or something. And I'm like, the cat is here.
Found the cat.
I was like, yes. But I didn't expect that whenever that whole like system reboot thing happens, and they have the last robot, whether it's you or it's not or it's something else, he walks out on that little metal balcony. He's just holding the cat with him, and he just walks out there. It's like, yeah, and it's like the cover art. I was like, that's sweet. That was cool.
So I don't think either of you got the third ending.
No, because the third ending is you're a messenger.
Yes, sir. So.
Oh yeah.
Apparently,
no.
That's one of the endings. You can essentially descend back down into the world. That's like, what is that? Isn't that floor 6? Don't you like descend an elevator instead of like going up to floor 6?
Mm-hmm.
And you essentially stay to provide the wisdom that you learned for the future generations of AI.
I'm glad I didn't get that, because those guys were terrible, and I don't want to be one of them.
I mean, technically, you still are.
Yeah. No, I'm dead. Or I'm apparently dead.
Yeah. Any other thoughts you want to share?
Nope. I'm good. Game's over.
It was an interesting game. Yeah. I liked the puzzles, and then it just, I don't know. I do enjoy a good puzzle game, but I think it was because I was forcing myself to beat it, and I got to a point where I'm just thinking to myself, it's not worth my time. I don't want to. I play video games because I want to just have a good time, and I don't want to use my
Yeah.
full brain capacity all the time. And I got to the point where I'm assuming I was just so lethargic about trying to beat this stupid game, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
here we go. Got to do another, 8 puzzles in the Star World after I just completed 7 other worlds
Josh,
here.
you did
and
this
then,
to him.
And then I was like, at the time I was only on like the third level of the tower. I was like, I gotta do all these. It was just a lot.
I felt the same at the end.
Yeah, I love
But also, I could have just walked through the door and been done with it. But I was like, no, that's too easy. That's the easy ending. I'm not about.
Yeah,
so I did do it to myself as well.
The ending of it. I mean, I think it's really, the whole story is interesting, the way they trickle feed, and you kind of start to understand the nature of the world around you and like what's actually going on. And like to like break it all down, you're basically just a rat running a maze, and you're a simulation that was created by those people who knew that they were not going to be there anymore. And the simulation is like basically running itself over and over and over again. You're just the next iteration of it. However,
the smartest rat got put into a physical robot.
Exactly. Finally, the newest iteration of it finally was advanced enough to essentially be indistinguishable from being human. Like all those questions about what is it to be human, what is consciousness,
they
all that
wanted
stuff, they wanted
that
something
robot
that would be able
is
to
supposed to go and build the world,
essentially, and to preserve like the rest of the knowledge of humanity, because they aren't there anymore, but they didn't want everything to be forgotten. Everything about humanity that was what's up?
Was Milton supposed to be like that?
I think all of it was coded for a purpose. I think he was supposed to be that way.
I don't know, because I read that if, depending on your conversations with Milton, you have the ability to take him with you.
It's also possible it's like rogue. Like rogue AI, rogue code or something. I'm not 100%.
I mean, he was, because like he told, like at the end, he's like, "Hey, there have been many that came before you, and there will be many after you. Yeah. You're nothing special. Like, I'll be here when you get back because you're not going anywhere."
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, but it's kind of like the whole, in the end, like you just kind of like learn the reason for everything, the reason that world exists, what Elohim is, and then you kind of end up making a final decision to go against what you were told ever since you woke up in that land, and to climb the tower and get to the very end. And essentially the tests it pushed you through deems you intelligent enough to then go out and actually be able to join the real world and take care of the Earth because everyone else is gone. Because this is, you know how like all that data had been corrupted, like the insane amount of data that was corrupted is because this is like something, I don't know if it's supposed to be hundreds or thousands of years in the future of like what happened to the extinction event, but it's been a long time, and I just thought the concept of it was really interesting.
Andrew, where do you stand on your atheist theory with the ending?
I still stick by it. I mean, and the reason I still stick behind it is and again, they did it really respectfully, but at the end of the day, they're really saying like, listen, this Elohim guy didn't exist. He's a computer program. So is this Milton, and so is everything around you. You're just in a simulation, and depending on which kind of ending you go to, if you go through the ending that we got, everything gets restarted, and you're the only thing there. And that is, I mean, that's sort of atheism. It's also secular humanism within the idea that, like, humans are the epitome of everything. There is nothing else. There is no God. It's just a thought that we come up with that we can explain away the things that can be unexplained. And they take that approach, but they try to do it in a very intellectual way, which is why, all the time when you talk to Milton, he's asking you these questions. And there's that one scene, like in World C3, where you just have to basically admit he's right almost at a certain point, because you go through every that's what I did. I went through every freaking dialogue option when it was like, oh well, what would make them what would you do to take somebody on the arc? And he's like, well, they got to be a good person. He's like, well, what about the people who were dealt a bad hand in life? And then you have to say like, oh well, I guess it's something else. And then it's like, oh well, it's because they are human. And then he's like, well, what about the people who have like memory problems, or they the people who don't have the ability to reason, are they still human? Like, will they go? And he's always trying to have a rebuttal, because really it comes down to, and I say this to a lot of people if we have this kind of discussion, but when we get to the brass tacks and the bottom line, it really is you either have faith that something happened or you don't. If you go back to creationism versus the Big Bang, you either have faith that something came of nothing, or the Big Bang happened, which is, still something coming from nothing. There was no reason for all of it to happen. It just happened. You're saying it's coincidence, and the numbers state the coincidence shouldn't have happened. It's
both are literally the exact same thing. One just says there's a guiding hand behind it.
Exactly, and that's the subtle difference between even atheism and agnosticism. Some people that are agnostic versus atheism, they have a lot of the same beliefs, but I jokingly, and of course I don't intend to say this to hurt feelings whenever I usually having a good conversation with someone that I know very well at this point, but I just tell them as a joke, agnosticism is just people who have commitment issues. They just don't want to say one way or the other if it's God, or if it's a God, or if it's this person. They're just like, what, I don't want to say anything, because if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but I can just say something smarter than me created it, and I won't be wrong, I'll be right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think they're not necessarily advocating for atheism, but they definitely have a big part in the whole questioning of everything. They took the quote, the irony of saying the devil's advocate approach with trying to explain away either creationism or if there is a God and all that jazz.
Yeah. Josh, do you have any other thoughts about that? Did you come out with different
No.
different feelings, or
that suicide note? They talked about how that they were atheist, but within this all that like they see God or a God. So I was just curious if the ending moved your stance on it at all.
Okay.
Nathan, is there anything that you've been wanting to tell us, or you want to tell us that you couldn't because we didn't beat the game?
I don't know. We've pretty much kind of covered most of it. Just your initial crackpot theory was very close to what actually happened, which I thought was I had a straight face during that episode, but my mind was like, did he just look this up beforehand? But because that was, it was pretty solid. But it kind of lays everything out from the beginning, but you just kind of put it together as you go, and I don't know. We can kind of go over more of it next week as well when we do the ratings and such, but I think that overall, I personally, I guess I have a feeling just from what I've heard from you guys so far that I also enjoyed the game in overall, as a game more than you did, or at least maybe Andrew, because he seemed I feel like you just, had a rough time.
I didn't hate it. It was cool. I liked the story, but
to get it
there
done?
was some story stuff that I didn't feel forced until the end.
No, Andrew,
halfway through World C. No, yeah. I felt the same, but
okay.
Towards the end too. I was at the beginning, I was yeah, okay, this is my normal gameplay. Because I texted Andrew last Sunday, hey, I've already done 2 levels, so I already had 2 levels done last week. Because after the podcast, I just played for an hour or so, and then I did a couple more levels this week, and I'm I just want to get this game beat, so either we can make a couple episodes out of it, or this can be it.
Yeah.
And towards the end, especially having to do the tower, I was okay, this is dragging. I'm just ready to be done. I don't want to play this anymore. I want to play another game.
Okay.
Today. If it was only because I was trying to get so much done at one point, but the minimum amount playing through over the time wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But yesterday, trying to get all that done at one time, towards the end, I was okay, I'm ready just to be done with it. There's other games I want to play, like I've been playing World of Tanks. No, it was good. I'm excited to see the ratings. I know Tarkov partially did bad because there's no story.
They would have done bad without story. That just made it worse.
But there's my ratings are going to be a little different for this because like we'll get into it.
Totally different
I'm
type of
curious
game
to
too.
see. Yeah, but there's some negative points to it that I'm just curious how it affects the overall rating.
For sure.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, anything else before we move on?
No, were we ready to get into the fantasy draft?
The what, boys? What are we
The
getting into?
The fantasy draft.
The fantasy draft?
The fantasy draft. Do that
The
every
draft
single
fantasy?
time. Whose turn is it? Whose turn is it? Mine was
It
last
is my
week.
turn.
Okay.
You guys aren't probably going to like this. I just thought about it while driving. So, this is, I mean, if you want to argue about it, go ahead. Money does not matter. Out of all the jobs that you've had since you started working, what are your top 2 favorites that you wish you could go back to or continue that line of work? So we'll go Andrew, Nathan, me, then me, Nathan, Andrew.
Okay. Let's see. If money didn't matter, out of what I've worked, that's a lot of work experience. We're
like,
gonna start
let's say
so
you make really good money now, but you have a previous job that you enjoyed, but the money is less. Well, we'll clear it up for Nathan. You know, duos.
I enjoyed it because it was decent physical labor. It wasn't too demanding. It was one of those jobs where you just by doing it, you are going to be in shape. And that was a nice side effect. I didn't have to worry about taking work home with me with this job. So there wasn't a lot of mental anguish. It was just like, get as much done as you can and then go home. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that was, I worked at a factory job, being a, I'm trying to remember what the position was. It was I guess I would be a parts assembly employee is what it was. So my position was after these metal pieces that were going to be used to either construct houses or do gutters or depending on what they were doing that day. They were fired through the kiln, they were painted, they were fired again so that they would, and it was on this large conveyor belt. And once it got to the end, which is where I was, we had to take them off and basically load them onto the truck. But that job had also what you called piece pay, which was you get paid a bonus if you, like, if let's say the quota was like 500 at an 8-hour shift. If you would go over 500, you would get paid per piece extra you did over. So it made everybody want to like actually work, and that was nice.
Smart.
And then of course there's the fact that like it's a something where it's not very physically demanding. You're in a freaking hot box all day, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it's the idea. I really like the idea that like everybody was always trying to work because they wanted to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you don't have a slow day, quote unquote. But which means you're always busy, which means to me the day usually just goes by really fast. And then, I go home. I don't have a job where like I do now where I have to like, if I don't do part of my job, I'm like, oh, this person might not get what they need. They might die, and it just weighs on you. So it's an extreme example, but I wouldn't mind having that job again if I just money.
Always a good job where it's set up to make people work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart. I like that.
Nathan.
Security, because I'm lazy as crap, and I could get other stuff done while I was working.
Was there a certain one that you enjoyed the most, like a certain place you were at, or?
All right, let's think.
Security in general.
I've worked at a Coca-Cola distribution facility.
Yep.
A
Delivered there.
Haha, you know the one? Like Cannonsburg, or it's close to there. Yeah, it's kind of it's a cool area. Walking through their factory, where their like facility, like the warehouse, was really cool. Especially because like I did overnight there, and there was just empty. There was nobody there, and there was just these like massive like pallets of drinks, of Coca-Cola products, and it was very interesting. So I've worked there. I've worked at the PA Transformers, which was like that.
Delivered there too.
Yeah. I worked in Shanghai, China. You delivered there too?
Nope.
No, I've not worked there. So those two, I worked for a little bit at what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a glass. They make a certain kind of like glass thing. It was a very short amount of time there, but these are all like in Pennsylvania with St. Moritz. I enjoyed Tanger Outlets. I was security there. That was cool. And I did.
Did you ride a Segway when you were there?
No, we had the golf cart.
I saw people with Segways. I was like,
cool. See, I think if that's a more recent thing, whenever years ago they switched security companies. They have a different security company there now. Thanks, babe. That was next. She texted me Doubletree. I worked at the Doubletree Hotel. That was one of the more fun ones. It was interesting. Like I did overnight at the Doubletree Hotel in down like Washington. Like you probably know the one.
Yeah.
It's a long racetrack road, and walking
I think
just kind of like
be a bartender or server there.
Really? I didn't know that. But like it was just interesting, like just prowling a hotel at night. I'm making this super long, but I'm just going through all of them because I really want to decide.
So did I.
What I enjoyed. Yeah, that's fair. I think that was one of the more interesting ones because it was just like walking through like a hotel at night. I also made the coffee for the people in the morning. There was like a public coffee cart for the people, and so we would just like make it and then put it in the right place for the people who wake up in the morning. But it was for the most part just doing like hourly rounds or something like that, and then just kind of chilling near the lobby, and it was just interesting. I like the hotel atmosphere. But apart from that, once I moved here, I worked for a company called Holliston Mills.
Hold on.
What's up?
Security.
I did security down here too.
Security.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked security for a company called Holliston Mills, and they essentially are a paper and textile factory, which I think if we were just talking about rounds, that was by far my favorite. That place was scary. Everyone I ever talked to said it was haunted, and I was there alone at night. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it so much, and I just like would walk around this factory in the middle of the night. It was like I had nightmares about that place a lot. Like I've had like probably 10 different times, and I had one like in the last few months, thinking like I'm a nightmare about that, like working there. And I don't know why, because like when I was actually working there, it didn't scare me. But like there was something like primal. There's something like some primal fear about like this whole factory with this machinery, some stuff that stays running like 24/7, and like there's nobody else there, and I just worked there overnight, and I just walked around it, and I was completely alone. It was so cool. I love stuff like that, and like getting to be in a place like that I would never be able to normally otherwise unless I actually worked there. But that was that, and then I also worked for security at a Teleperformance near here, and that was just a call center, and we barely did rounds. We just mostly sat there all day. Nice. We took people's temperature when they came in because it was during COVID. So I don't know. I think Doubletree and Holliston were actually my favorites, but probably I enjoyed Holliston. It was interesting. It was a very different experience. I also lost my car there, as in it on the way to work, the transmission went out. So it's a great time. So yeah, that was probably working. Let's just say Holliston.
Okay.
Josh,
what about you?
Your choice sucks, Nathan.
Thank you. I
don't know.
Too.
You guys don't seem to be happy if I don't, tell you guys your opinion sucks.
Well, I told you this wasn't going to be a very good argumentative one. It was just something I thought about this week. My first choice, I had a construction job when I was 20, and I was in charge of hauling heavy equipment. I miss that. Those are fun.
AKA your mom.
Got him.
Oh,
Got
payback
him.
for Andrew's mom.
I love you, Aunt Joy. Unfortunately, I had to defend my mom's rep by making fun of you.
My second choice would be the first job I got when I turned 21 over the road with Schneider. I ended up doing the release purchase program, and I miss that. That was a fun job. Getting to pick my loads where I wanted to go, when I wanted to go, and stuff. So those are my two.
So your second job is your current job, that essentially.
No. No.
Truck driving?
I mean, the first job was truck driving too. I mean, that's all I've really done for the last 11 years. I worked at Panera Bread. That was fun.
Yeah, when you said you worked in a construction site, I had a different idea than you were still.
No, like I drove truck hauling heavy equipment. They paved county roads, and they got their oil mixture that they spray on the ground. I had to go pick that up at Reading and put that at the construction site for them to do the road paving and stuff like that. So I liked that job. Got to play with the heavy equipment, loading it and messing around with it. And the other job I talked about, like I owned the truck. I was making truck payments on it. And there was a load board where I could choose where I wanted to go whenever I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. I could do whatever I wanted to the truck. I changed the headlights out for these blue LED light bulbs. So like my truck was red, at night it would glow blue and red. Stuff like that. But it was a lemon, so I had to turn it in, and there were some other factors going on at that time.
I remember turning in that truck, actually.
Yeah. Yep. So I wouldn't mind being able to pick my own loads and stuff again. But Nathan, what's your second?
I remembered, before I tell you my second, I remembered two other security places I worked at. So I also worked at the Washington Welfare Office a little bit. Not a ton, but I worked there for security.
Is that the one Joel worked at?
Yes, I worked there a few times. He worked there for like half his life, then
he did absolutely nothing there.
Well, yep, indeed. He listened to podcasts or Twitch streamers and stuff.
That's what he does anyway.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's all he does. But I mean, not all he does, but he does it with all.
Yes,
he always has it in his ear.
What was the second one?
I also worked at, which was super cool. I did security for a little while with St. Moritz at the Langeloth Metallurgical Plant, which was super cool. It's like a factory where they did like.
I've delivered there too.
Really? So you know where that is? Yeah, it was a little bit out there. It was like kind of a little bit in the booties.
I've been there a lot.
It's really cool. It's just
I hated it.
That's fair. But like walking through, I think I just really think it's interesting to walk through like factory areas and like see all those like all these working pieces and like these working parts and like not really have any idea what it all is and how it all works, but just knowing that it all does to create this product that they all do. And just I always thought stuff like that was interesting, like just that kind of a setting. But walking through that was always a good time. But I enjoyed that too. Anyway, second job was I guess I don't know, man. I haven't liked most of my jobs. My wife can attest. But I worked for Josh Z for a year doing flooring installing, and that was like chill. That was simple, chill, and we got to make something, and I enjoy making stuff. So
shout out to Josh Z,
good old
giving
Josh.
everybody that lived around here a job at one point in time in their life.
Right.
Yeah, I worked there for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, the first job offer I got after that, I was like, I'm good.
I never knew you worked with him. That's funny.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks. So
there's a reason.
I had left my last job because to not get into the story, it really came down to my boss told me, if you want to break the 6-figure mark, you're going to have to lie to people at this job. And I was like, you do realize I am in school to be a pastor. That's just not going to work. Like, I don't want to just lie to people's faces. So I just quit there on the spot.
Nice.
And Josh Z, I asked him, I was like, hey, Like, if you can't, I understand. But if you need help, you know, I'll work for you. You know, obviously, you know about my work ethic. You know, I've known you my entire life. And so he was like, yeah, sure. You know, so it took like probably a day, 2 days for him to like teach me how to do what I needed to do. And so at the end of like the first week or the beginning of the second week, he's like, hey, you can, you know, if you don't mind taking your car, you know, we're going to try to split up on jobs, and you, Dustin, and excuse me, and Wesley are going to go out and do a job, and me, Chris, and I think it might have been just him and Chris, they were going to go do a demo job somewhere. So I was like, yeah, sure, like any way I can help, that's awesome. I'm down. I'm glad you trust me enough to do this by myself now. Like, cool.
Demo is fun.
So me, Dustin, and Wesley get to this house, and we just start going to work. And first of all, it was really weird because the lady who owned the house, she like came in the middle of us like just laying floor, and I was doing glue downs at that time. Oh man, I'm frozen.
You're very frozen.
Someone screenshot it.
You can continue.
Screenshot it.
I don't know what to do about this. Oh crap. Oh crap. Maybe he's.
It should fix itself. There we go.
Hey, all right.
But she comes in like halfway. I think I was doing glue down in the basement at that point. And she comes in and she starts like actively flirting with Dustin and Wesley. It was super weird. And she offered them, she was like, oh, because Wesley mentioned he was going to a concert. She's like, here. She went in the fridge and pulled out like 2 12-packs and was like, you guys can pregame before you go. And I was like, it was just really creepy because she was just.
What?
Yeah, there was something not connecting in her brain. And I'm glad that I'm actually very happy that it happened after I went downstairs, because just before that, I'm pretty sure we FaceTimed Josh and we were dancing very seductively to a song just to, you know, send him a funny video to cheer him up. So, so I was, after I started the glue downs, I went back upstairs and I was like, hey, like, we got to wait for some of this to dry. And you know, I was like, I just want to be helpful. Like, what can we do? And he was like, yeah, just go ahead and start on this floor in this room, you know, and just go to town, you know, get it done as fast as you can. At this point, Dustin and Wesley both said, hey, like, if we just work through our lunch break, we'll be out of here at like 1 o'clock at the latest, and we'll have a full day in. You know, we'll get paid for the full day. I was like, all right, cool. Let's just work away. So I start laying down hardwood in this room, and I am probably about 3/4 of the way done. And Dustin, was it Dustin? It could have been Wesley. I don't know. One of them comes in, and he's just like, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty close to getting done. You know, it took me a little longer than I'd like, but you know, you run into problems, you get over it. And he's like, you're going to have to do this whole room over again. And I was like, wait, what? Why? It was like, you did not do this right. And you've done the whole floor this way. And it was, I had stapled down in the wrong portion, because whenever, at that point, I guess we were using a different wood that I hadn't used before, and it didn't necessarily lock into place, and it was stapled down. And so they showed me, they started it, and they said, this is what you want to do. So I literally, like, I did the same exact thing. You know, whenever you set a floor, is different from whenever you're building the rest of it through. So I just did everything as I set the floor. So I stapled like directly into the floor. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have to tear this all up. So I just walked away. I just walked downstairs into the downstairs bathroom. I'm like, I'm going to take an angry poop for a long time. And so it was like 10 minutes, and I hear Wesley walk by. He's like, does anyone know where Andrew's at? I think he might have left. And then after that, I was like, no, I'm still here. I'm just really ticked off, and I don't want to be here anymore. So as soon as I got my next job offer, I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm not working. I'm not doing this again. I don't want to run into that ever happening again.
That is rough. I can't imagine having to completely redo that much.
It really wasn't that bad. The room wasn't very big. I was just really irritated because to myself, I was like, I was trusted to do this by myself. And in my mind, I'm like, I did it. This is great. And then they're like, nah, chief. And I'm like, nope. Don't tell me that. You do
That
it your dang
is
self now.
rough.
I'm going to do the glue downs because you can't mess up gluing a floor to a floor.
So what was that your second, or what was your second?
Oh no, he just asked me to tell that story.
Yeah.
My second, it was if I would have stuck with it, it would have been a really interesting job. It may not have paid the best, but it was fun. So I worked at Carvana with a temp agency.
Interesting.
And my job, I was mainly a glorified detailer, if I'm being honest. I just cleaned cars for most of the day because they weren't too busy. If they were busy, though, my position, technically speaking, was to go and pick up people's cars that they were trading in, or deliver a car on occasion. But my main position was I was supposed to go. They would send me out in a taxi or an Uber, and they would send me out to this person's house to this car they're trading in, and it was fun because they have to. With Carvana, you don't ever really see the other person's car, so they're like, "Oh, well, this is the year, make, and model. This is what you're picking up." So sometimes, it's really cool because they're like, "Oh, you get to drive this stick shift Mini Cooper." There was one guy who traded in a Corvette, so that was awesome, just driving like fancy cars. But then I had to pick up this guy who had like a '97 Chevy S10 or GMC S10, and it was it was still dirty inside. Like he didn't even clean his car out, and it ran terribly. But it was so fun because there was the random chaos, which is always interesting and fun to me. But it was just like my job is just to drive back and forth. I don't have anyone with me. I don't have to pick up groceries. I'm not a freaking DoorDasher. All I do is I just go pick up these unwanted cars that people are trading in, and sometimes they're really cool, sometimes they're really not. And it was just like, you just didn't do much, and it was still kind of cool because you never knew what was going to come in that driveway, and you had to inspect it and stuff when you got there. But yeah, it was a good time. It was interesting.
All right. Well, we're at about 2 hours here. This is a fairly long podcast. Last week ran long too. Next week might, because we're doing ratings, it might not. I'm not entirely certain.
I don't think it will.
We might have less to talk about next week. We're not creating our rating system and such, but yeah, it was a solid game. I really enjoyed getting you guys to play Talos Principle, and I look forward to getting our final thoughts on it next week. But
next week will be our rating system. We're going to use the same for all the games just to keep it even. And it's just the final game rating, our 1 through 10 on everything. So we have graphics, gameplay, story, roleplay, replayability, cost versus value. So just keep those in mind this week as you think about what score you would give it. We'll average those scores out, and then we'll also have a rating for our overall feeling of the game. So just think about those this week, and then next week we'll dive into it. I don't think next week will be very long. I don't.
I'm not worried about it.
Call us Dominoes. It's gonna be 30 minutes or less, boys.
But perfect. Nathan,
yes,
you are
the weakest link. Goodbye.
Out of trouble next week.
Voss?
So.
Out of trouble. He's currently in it.
Well, I'm the mom fact next week, and you're the fantasy draft.
That's exciting.
And Andrew, you start the show off next week, big boy.
Cool.
Well,
it's gonna be a quick one, boys and girls.
Okay. Well, thank each and every one of you for watching. Always appreciate it, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on one of the random places we have this posted now. And we have been enjoying doing this and looking forward to starting our next game. And I guess we'll be deciding on that or announcing it next week.
Andrew,
we'll decide on it. Yeah.
Yep, and that will be...
It's Andrew's pick, so next week he'll... I gotta add that to my notes.
And remember,
next week he'll let us know.
This is our third game played on the podcast. We've done Escape from Tarkov, which was Josh's choice. We've done the Talos Principle, which was my choice. Now we're going to do Andrew's choice of something he has played that he wants to show to us. After we do Andrew's, our plan is to be experiencing and discovering new games together. So from here on, from my understanding, unless something changes, we're going to be actually starting new games together where none of us have played them, which is going to be interesting because we'll all have our own like unique feedback to bring, and it'll be a little bit different because I felt like I couldn't talk much about the Talos Principle, and I let them mostly share their experiences. But
yeah, I feel like
good.
we could talk more all together with Escape from Tarkov. The Talos was very story driven with puzzles, and you couldn't say a whole lot. And Andrew, I think I know what you're gonna pick, but you don't. If you want to pick a game you've played, go ahead. If there's a game that just came out that you've been wanting to play that you've never played, you can pick that game as well. But
yeah, don't feel locked into what the initial thought was. If you change your mind, well, I mean, you can decide on it, or if you already have, that's fine too. We can talk about it next week on the podcast.
Sounds good.
But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like the video and stuff, and subscribe. And we're gonna see you around, fellas. I'm Nathan. He's Josh.
I'm V8
Andrew's
Splash,
Water.
boys.
And Andrew is V8 Splash.
Liquid emulsification. Good night. I can hear the power. Who's water again?
Good night.